You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year. Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. Yes, we are back. Episode 228. Wow, 228 episodes. A week off, but now, as we would like to say, we back. Yes, sir. So I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way in St. Cloud, Minnesota, in the Granite City Studios, Paul Vold, Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
You know, we're at this wonderful time of year where the weather is warming up, the snow is melting, and you see all the wonders that were left behind from this past winter. I drove by a very large snow pile today on my way back from picking up the kids from daycare, and I found a pile of different shoes. Who loses one shoe in the middle of winter and then just forgets about it altogether? It was a very puzzling sight. These are the questions that bog down my mind on the daily. Who loses just one shoe and just goes on their way like everything is okay, especially in the middle of winter? But we're not going to really answer that question tonight, but we've got lots of things that we need to answer with the show itself.
That is very true, and that is very, why would you leave a shoe? I mean, you don't want to walk, with one shoe on. I mean, I don't get that, but whatever. We're back. It doesn't matter. We are back, yes, and one more claps out. It feels good to be back, to say the least. Post-Super Bowl, there's not a whole lot that you'd think that would be going on, but you'd be wrong because there's a good amount of things happening. And, Voldy, before we get into what we got going on, I was just kind of messing with stuff before the show here. Just to remind people, we are still in the works of getting that final 5-year anniversary logo. I just want to zoom it in right here. Ooh, look at that. Nice and smooth and everything, the border around it and whatnot. It looks sick, man. I love it. So just wanted to throw that your way. And, well, there it goes. Adios. So, with that being said, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Tonight we have a lineup of heavy-hitting teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves. They shock the Thunder, 25-point comeback, winning in OT. We'll talk about that as well as the Wild. Well, they're doing well with what they have. There's been injuries left and right. Kaprizov's not coming back super soon like we hoped. And Joel Eriksson Ek is now hurt as well. So, yes, it sucks. And I'm not booing the play. I'm just saying, just injuries suck, and it's we can't deal with it. So that's on the docket for Tater Tot Hot Take tonight. And then we've got Callahan's School of Logic. We are heading into the classroom. There's been some news that the Ashiba brothers, who were the favorites, quote unquote favorites, to buy the Minnesota Twins, are not. They're out of the running, and we'll talk about that in School of Logic. And I have a conspiracy theory that I will throw your way, which is very true, and it's going to be rant worthy. So make sure you tune in for Callahan's School of Logic. And then ARA, we've got an awesome set of ARAs. Voldy, I cannot wait to talk about the Ford Nation face-off for ARA. I think it was one of the highlights for us being off a week. watching those games and whatnot. We'll talk about that in ARA. The Bengals are trying to keep the 3 trio. You got to try to keep. They're trying to keep Teehiggins. They're trying to keep Chase. They're trying to keep Hendrickson. A lot to unpack with the Bengals. And then the Green Bay Packers are the ones that unidentified now. No, they're the actual ones that were the team. They ban the ban on the tushpush. We'll debate that.
Maybe.
And Trout is moving to right field. Miketrout is going over to the right field. We'll talk about that. And then to wrap things up, sheduersanders to not work out at the nflcombine. So, a lot to unpack with that as well. And, of course, shield shoutouts tonight as well. So, since we've got a lot to talk about, Voldy, I say we get right into it. Let's do some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it is time for some Tater Tot Hot Take. We start off with those Minnesota Timberwolves. And just to start this off, Voldy, we got to do this one.
I have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years. Bring your ass.
Bring your ass. That's what they said to the Oklahoma City Thunder in a awesome, remarkable victory over those Oklahoma City Thunder. The previous game they lost at Target Center, and not to say that they didn't play well. They didn't start off hot. SGA was dominant. Chet Holmgren was actually playing that game. Did not play the game in OKC. But nonetheless, the Wolves made a miraculous comeback, leading the way in points. Jaden McDaniels. Yes, Jaden McDaniels. 27 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. He was very good offensively. And then, as always, Voldy, there was another man by the name of your tribal chief, Naz Reid. Yes.
Acknowledge your tribal chief.
Acknowledge the tribal chief, Naz Reid. Yes. He didn't start off hot either. He was 2 of 8 from 3-point range, which, is a little uncommon, 7 of 21. But he is still Naz Reid. He is still your tribal chief. Make sure you acknowledge your tribal chief in Naz Reid. And Anthony Edwards only had 17 points, but he was still Ant. He had a very key block in that game as well for the Timberwolves. He got, and again, you can't touch Shea. Can't touch Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, apparently. So it's just, can't do it, and it's, the free throw merchant, I think, is what the Wolves called him. So, Voldy, the Wolves haven't had the best season. There's been a lot of naysayers. There's been a lot of injuries. DiVincenzo, Randall, just to name a few. And, these young guys have really stepped up. So, is this a sign of things to come for the Wolves? Can they bounce back? Can they get out of that play-in spot and, be with the seeds that are up there with 1, 2, 3, 4? Can they get to the 6th seed? Voldy, where are you at with those Timberwolves? What do you think?
I think right now, with where we're at right now, I know that this is definitely a win you can look back on, and this could certainly be where the season really turned around for the Timberwolves. I know that they've been battling back and forth, trying to find a little bit more consistency in the lineup. But at one point when the team was down almost 20 points at halftime and a 24-point deficit in the fourth quarter, outscoring the opposition in the fourth quarter alone, 41-19, and then you get 50-plus points off your bench in that contest, while Oklahoma City's bench only put up a total of probably, I want to say maybe 30, 35 points in total. But that 50 points that they got was from three guys, the Timberwolves. It was Dillingham, Shannon, and Na on top of it. That's Nickeil Alexander-Walker for all you uninformed people. While that 35, 40 points they got from Oklahoma City, that came from five guys. So the fact that it was a much better depth situation for the Timberwolves really did help them out in that area. But I think they do have a chance. This could definitely be something to really solidify them. I know some news has come out recently about me converting on a couple of contracts. Jalen Clark is one that is they're looking at a little bit more steadfastly. I think Jaden McDaniels getting a much more prominent time for him has been a good factor for them. They're still figuring out a few things, but I feel like this could be the point where things start to turn around for the Timberwolves.
And that's what they need. And it sounds like DiVincenzo's getting there. Randall, I think, eventually will be back. And there's been debate on whether or not that they would, have him come off the bench or something because Naz Reid's been, your tribal chief's been very, very good. And I think you have to kind of give the nod to Naz because he's proven that he can handle being a starter. And obviously he was Sixth Man of the Year last year and everything but, Naz Reid is somebody that I feel like is starting to come into his own. And no one really gave him a chance when he first started. And then all of a sudden he's blossomed into this premier scorer / defender as well. The one thing that you mentioned that I think is very, very good, guys coming off the bench, like you said, with Terrence Shannon Jr. has been awesome. And I did say on this show that Terrence Shannon Jr. is a sleeper. And he has come in and played lights out. And this is exactly what the Wolves need from these young pups, I should say. I mean, no pun intended, but they are. They're rookies. And Jalen Clark, oh my God. That dude is locking down guys left and right on defense, Voldy. And his shot's gotten a lot better, and there was a lot of concern about that with Jalen Clark. Now you look at him, and he's draining threes left and right, just absolutely playing lights out. He had that injury against OKC in Minnesota. Everyone thought it was concussion. It looked bad. I did actually see that. And he ended up not having a concussion, which is surprising. And he played the next night, so the guy's just awesome. This is what you want. And Rob Dillingham, hell yeah, let's go. I mean, this dude is the future already. And, all love to Mike Conley. And he only played 14 minutes, which is, is crazy in itself. So now you have that to factor in. I feel like they need to probably play him a little bit more, that being Rob Dillingham, and kind of see where it goes from there. Maybe, they pick up somebody off free agency or something like that just to kind of help with that. Because I still think Mike Conley can be effective. How effective, we're not sure. So, and another thing too, Jaden McDaniels. He has been awesome offensively. He's had streaky moments. We've seen it in the playoffs. We've seen it this year as well. And I think if he can kind of continue on just a trajectory of, not forcing things, driving to the basket, he's a stud. I really enjoy watching him play, especially. So when they start to get DiVincenzo back, hopefully he's fully healthy, you get Randall back, had another facet to the Wolves' offense and hopefully a little bit of defense, but he can't be a ball hog. That's the thing. So that's the big question. So anyway, the Wolves do take on the Los Angeles Lakers, that being Luka Doncic and LeBron James and the crew, and they've been playing really good basketball as of late. They play tomorrow. Voldy, how are we feeling about the Wolves taking on LeBron and Luka, who's coming off a very good game against his former team? If the Wolves can beat the Lakers here, hey, that's maybe that can start something. What do you think of this upcoming matchup here tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the matchup against OKC was definitely a shot in the arm that the Timberwolves did need. Now going up against kind of a resurgent Lakers squad, it's going to be a battle. I think it really will be. If you can really, it used to be if you just slow down LeBron James, you're good to go. But now you got to deal with Luka once again. And well, Luka was a main factor in the Timberwolves season ending last year when he was with the Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals, and he was. One way or another, he was an issue for the Timberwolves. It may not have shown up on the stat sheet, but he was an issue to deal with one way or another. But I feel like this matchup will be a little bit more different. I think the Timberwolves are going to have a little bit of edge to them in that regard, and at least prove, the win that they had the other night wasn't a fluke. And I think they'll be definitely very competitive. It very well could be the Anthony Edwards show. He could definitely put down 40-45 in this one. I could see it.
I think that's a good point, because I think Ant, wants to bounce back after that rough game against OKC in OKC. But when he doesn't play well offensively, he usually backs it up defensively. I mean, on that block on SGA was so key in that too. So I think they're getting the Lakers at not the best time, but coming off this victory against the Thunder, hopefully this is enough to be like, okay, we can start to get on a run here and, see what we can do with this. And, the West is tough. You have the Nuggets. Unfortunately, you have the Warriors with Jimmy Buckets coming up now. You got the Mavs. You got, I think I mentioned the Nuggets, but Thunder. I mean, the West is just stacked, so they got to be careful when it comes to that. And even the Rockets, I mean, shoot, they've been playing really well too. So we will see how that goes tomorrow for the Timberwolves, but they are not the only team that is playing tomorrow as well. The Minnesota Wild, oh man, it's just been it's been wild, pun intended. It's a lot of injuries. Kaprizov, it doesn't sound like he's coming back anytime soon. It seems like Joel Eriksson Ek's going to miss a lot of time. He's week to week, which isn't a great sign either. They're just kind of going through it right now. They had a 2-0 lead last night against the Detroit Red Wings and ended up losing 3-2. Don't know what happened there. But it doesn't mean that the Wild are completely out of it. But with that being said, the question I throw to Voldy with all these injuries and whatnot, where are we at? Are we at the? Are we back in the hospital? We on the respirator? What do we got, Voldy?
We are definitely still in the hospital.
Okay.
We are making our way to intensive care right now. It's very touch and go right now. The next few hours, we'll definitely learn a lot of things in that regard. But the injuries do not help. You lose Joel Eriksson Ek, who's been shouldering a lot of the burden with Kirill Kaprizov being out for an extended period of time as well. Bill Guerin announcing this past Friday that it looks like it's going to be a little bit longer for Kirill to come back. Now you lose Joel Eriksson Ek for some period of time, a lower body injury. He's week to week right now. It certainly is not looking very good. But the team is still scrappy with the bunch that they have. Of course, at one point in that game on Saturday, I believe it was, against the Red Wings, the Wild were down at 1.3-1 in that contest. I turned it off. Next thing you know, I'm making my way to the hockey rink for the Lumberjacks game, and they tied it up and then ultimately win it in overtime. I'm just like, what the actual hell is going on? It's crazy. Yeah. It's fantastic. I need more of it. It's the tenacity of these young guys. I got Marco Rossi. You've got Matt Boldy. Of course, you bring back a couple of older vets too. Zuccarello's been, quite tenacious. You've got Brock Faber really starting to come to his own. Jake Middleton is still very scrappy and at least being a very good stay-at-home defenseman. But then you've got some of these, young guys that have really come through too at some decent times. not exactly young, but you get Vinny Hinostroza making an impact. You got Devin Shore, who's, our age on top of it. There's a good mix right now. And some guys that are still kind of battling back and forth with the injury bug right now, but still trying to find a consistent play in the lineup. Yakov Trenin's made a couple of plays and has made an effort in the lineup recently, but so far right now, things are not looking good. There needs to be a little bit more action at the trade deadline for the Wild here, just based off the injuries that they do have and what they want to do to make that next step going forward. And I'm sure that's maybe another question you want to throw out. The goaltending is, also kind of shouldering the burden a little bit. Marc-Andre Fleury has shown his age in a couple of starts recently. Gustafson's been fairly steady as well to at least keep the Wild very competitive. But the way the schedule is looking right now for them, of course, they're out in Utah coming up here tomorrow night. Then they've got Colorado, a lot of divisional games coming up for them. And right now sitting third in the Central Division, staring up at two other teams right now. I mean, you've got Utah, you've got Colorado, then you got Boston coming up here on Sunday. So Thursday, Friday, Sunday, 3 games in 4 days, then you get a day off. And, it doesn't look much easier for them coming up. You got Seattle, which has always been a tough go for them, Vancouver, Pittsburgh. There's just so much to really divulge on top of it. I mean, I want to take a look and see what the standings are looking for them right now, sitting in that third spot in the division, or at least the third spot in the division. But right now, I think sitting third in the Central, it's a tough one, because I assume on top of it, Colorado is probably up there. They made a couple of moves early to really help themselves out of that Central Division.
They're down 4. 4 points. Or the Wild are up on them by 4 points in the Central Division. So
Gotcha. So overall, I mean, you're staring up. You got Dallas, Winnipeg. Winnipeg's still one of the best teams in the NHL after that hot start that they have with the best goalie in the world, Connor Hellebuck. And Dallas is kind of a semi-sneakily second in the division right now, and in the conference as well. But you know what? Overall, let's see if I do my math right, they're tied for 5th right now, 6th in the Western Conference. So not bad. They're going to have to do some work here, especially with potentiality of wild card. I'll just switch that up here and see what that really looks like for the overall makeup. So right now, as it currently stands, I mean, the Wild are in a playoff position right now. At least that's what it currently says. Yes, they are currently in a playoff spot. But again, Colorado, Calgary nipping on their heels right now. So there's definitely some work to do in that. If you finish in that top third, which I feel like the Wild can certainly do, they're going to have to steal some wins here as of late from some of these teams that are looking to make a playoff push for sure. They make a trade or two at the trade deadline here. I think they'll definitely have something to work with when Joel Eriksson Ek and Kirill come back into the lineup.
Winnipeg has won 10 straight. That's wow. Okay. They're damn good.
And I feel like nobody is talking about it. That's the craziest part.
Yeah.
They're all, of course, we're all riding high off the the Four Nations face-off.
Right.
Then you've got teams that have been disappointments in the past with with Toronto. They've won 3 in a row. Tampa Bay's won 6 in a row. You've got a few other teams. Of course, there's a lot of hoopla going on in Columbus right now. They're vying for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. But with Winnipeg, they've won 10 in a row. They're virtually they're unbeatable at home. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And they just continue just to stack on wins. 41, 14, and 3. 41 wins in 58 games. I'm no mathematician, but that's good.
That's pretty good.
Win more than you lose. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. They're not going to. I feel like it's going to be tough for Dallas, unfortunately, and the Wild to even, come close to that within the Central Division. So, the one thing that I think is what you said is definitely we need to make note of is the schedule coming up. And it doesn't, I will say it doesn't look favorable for the Wild right now, but I think that they can be able to take it to teams like, it's not like they're going to sit down and be like, oh, or just let them, skate all over us. I mean, Utah, they lost to previously 4-0. They probably want to get back on track and, get that win. And then it's Colorado on Friday. So you have that back-to-back, which is it's
on the
tough.
road.
On the road. It's super tough. But then you get Boston at home on Sunday.
1-game homestand.
Yeah, one. Just one, which I don't understand that. But whatever the schedule, however they do it. Seattle,
but
Vancouver.
Then you play, you play Tuesday at Seattle. Then you don't play again until Friday at Vancouver. Yeah. So you're on the road. I would imagine they'd be on the road that whole time. Probably they have the game. They have the game in Seattle. Make that quick bus trip and or flight from Seattle to Vancouver, and then you chill out for a couple of days, over the border. So at least get a little bit of time to kind of recharge the batteries a bit.
Yeah, and but then they get this long home game stand. On the 11th. Colorado at home, New York versus New York at home, St. Louis, Los Angeles, Seattle, Buffalo, Dallas, they're at Dallas that time, so that's when that homestand ends.
So a nice 2-week homestand.
That's good, nice. And that should help them propel a little bit
at the right time. That's at the right time.
When is the deadline? Do we know the deadline on the trade deadline?
That is a very good question. Let me confirm that here in just 2 seconds. Hopefully.
Yeah,
so
because I think if you're in this position, Voldy, and for the Wild fans that are out there, the zoners, you got to kind of expect them to make a move or two. I think Billy will try to make something work as well, but you got to do something. I mean, you can't just blame the injuries. If you're in playoff position, you don't want to lose that, right? So go from there. So what do we got?
Trade deadline is March 7th, which would be at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. On a Friday. Wow. Okay.
Yep. See how it goes.
So we got some time.
The Wild did make a move here in the last 20 or so minutes.
Really?
Nothing overly to write home about. Wild did acquire Tyler Madden from the LA Kings for defenseman Joseph Ciccone. A couple minor leaguer guys there, so maybe some depth in a couple of different places. So there you go. Nothing really to write home about as of right now, but we're on the move.
You never know these next few days. So we will kind of see how it goes here these next few days. See if there's any big trades. We'll be hearing it on the socials. So rest up, Kirill. Rest up, Joel. We definitely need you guys here. Hopefully, coming badly. Up, and we're still in playoff position. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So that'll do it for Tater Tot Hot Take this week. But we go to a team with baseball. The MLB team called your Minnesota Twins. There was some news that I think a lot of Twins fans were hoping that the Ashiba brothers would buy the Minnesota Twins. Unfortunately, they will not be. They have taken their they are now out of the running, and we don't know who's involved in buying the Minnesota Twins. It's been hush-hush, and I have a couple things that I need to talk about specifically. And it's more of a warning towards those damn pohlads. So let's head to the classroom and let's go do some Callahan's School of Logic.
Class is in session. You're enrolled in Callahan's School of Logic.
All right, zoners, get your pens, pencils, pad of paper, set at your desks. I got some stuff to say about those damn pohlads again. And you're probably thinking like, oh, now what? What do we got to talk about with that? Well, there's been some news. Like we have just said, the Sheba brothers, who have been known to spend money and who have been known to acquire teams that are in dire need of better ownership, unfortunately, they have taken their names out of the running. They actually have a minor stake in the Chicago White Sox. So I guess that factors in, which isn't a surprise knowing that, but at the same time, it kind of sucks because a lot of Twins fans were really hoping that they would buy the team because they've been known to spend whatever and they actually give a crap about their franchise. So I looked at this article, Voldy, and I thought this was very interesting because there is a slight possibility, which is scary for myself and for many Twins fans. Maybe they're not set on selling the Twins. I mean, we saw what happened with Glenn Taylor, too. So let's get into it. The news that when that came out a couple months ago about them selling a team, it was a breath of fresh air. We're all like, hell yeah, let's go. Let's do this. They're going to be selling the team finally. And then there could be a buyer before opening day. We're all like, hell yeah, let's go. And a couple days ago, the rug gets pulled from under us. Of course. Yep, it's just because it was getting close. It was getting close, I will say. They took their names out, like I said, they, claiming ownership, focused on claiming ownership of the Chicago White Sox. And, of course, an in-division rival for the Minnesota Twins. Is this surprising? Not really. The pohlads are going to sell to the highest bidder, which, leads me to believe that their asking price is way too high because it's the damn pohlads. And now we're hearing that they might not be ending up selling the team, which, again, there's the booze. But here's the thing, Zoners, Twins fans. I haven't lost hope that they'll eventually sell to someone. But it wouldn't surprise any of us, including Voldy, if they pull a Glenn Taylor and decide to not put the Twins up for sale because they didn't get what they wanted for the one Minnesota Twins. If they decide not to do that, if that ends up happening, there will be hell to pay. And I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about fans. If they think that the fans will get over it, they are sadly mistaken. If they thought fans bringing in signs saying defund the pohlads, sell the team, and everything like that was bad, just imagine what'll happen this upcoming season. And the season after that. And the season after that. And the season after that, etc., etc., etc. In the event the pohlads decide that they're going to hold on to the Twins, Voldy, I am saying it here on this show right now. If they end up deciding, officially saying, we're not putting the team up for sale, we're going to hold on to them, this is what is going to happen. Yours truly. I will not attend a Minnesota Twins game in person until they are forced to sell. Until they are forced to sell. That is the biggest hot take I got. I can watch it on TV, that's fine. But I will not be spending my hard-earned money on going to the park and watching a team that's just happy to be here play. This, I cannot, I can't stand for this absurdity any longer with these owners. They don't give a shit about this team. They don't. They're not baseball people, like we have said. We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and lied to for long enough. Enough of this happy to be here BS. It's time to get serious. open the checkbook and get this organization back to the World Series. They've been there They've won it twice. 87, 91. Even before that, they didn't win, but they got there. The way the Pohlads have run this organization has been for the benefit of the Pohlads, not the Twins fans, not the players, not the coaches, not the front office staff or the people that work at the ballpark. It's all been about them. So, this team will not get to a World Series with this ownership group, with the Pohlads. They can't. The logic in this, Voldy, Zoners, it's as simple as this. Sell the freaking team, Pohlads. If you want to avoid people berating you, mocking you, and ridiculing you, then it should be in your best interest to sell the team. The quicker they do that, the easier it will be for them to move on to other ventures. If you don't want to own this team, like we clearly know that you don't, you're just in it for the profit because you're greedy bastards, then end it. It doesn't mean that you have to sit back and just be like, well, we kind of want to hold on to it and, add more to our bank account. You have plenty of money. Please, rid us of this stupidity from you for benefiting yourself. And you don't give a crap about the fans, the players, the coaches, the front office staff, the people who work there at the ballpark. You don't care. Because if you did, you'd be investing in this team. And it was clear last season. Not putting it back on TV, the whole Bally Sports situation, blaming whoever and whatever. And then the monumental collapse of the Minnesota Twins the last part of the season. And the lack of spending anything this past offseason, too. I mean, you can just add to the list. Well, we got these guys, all healthy and whatnot. Tell me what season that Byron Buxton was healthy. Please, I'd like to know. I'd really like to know. Carlos Correa, same thing. Has he been healthy for sure? Maybe a season or two? But he hasn't been fully in these games. So there's just so much going on. We need to end this madness. They need to go on in their word and sell the team. Maybe on offense. Maybe they are really, really trying to, do that. But listen, if your price is too high, then you need to come down a little bit. You guys have plenty of money. You shouldn't be complaining. Stop being little bitches and sell the team. Yeah, that's what I said.
Nice.
It's over, man. I mean, it's just, they think that they just, I don't know if it's enjoyable for them to have people mock and ridicule them. The quicker you sell the team, the less people are going to be on your ass. Just saying. Voldy, anything to add to that?
No, I think you pretty much summed it up based off of everything that is growing ire, if you will, against the Pohlad family. It's not like they don't have money. That's the thing that I don't understand about owners that have the means to do so, to invest in the team, and they don't do it. I don't understand why this happens. Then why are you in it in the first place? To make money, sometimes you got to spend money. And when you don't spend money, are you really making money on top of it? I don't understand why you're even in it to begin with if you aren't trying to get something fully out of it. I mean, sure, it looks nice on a portfolio and everything, but if you aren't putting more into it, then why do you continue to just waste everybody's time? That's one thing that truly confuses me about this whole ownership for the Minnesota Twins.
Well, another thing to add, the lower third says sell the Twins or else. I'm not saying, like, go in and, like, try to take them for ransom or anything. I'm not. What I'm saying is that I'm warning them. Listen, if you don't want backlash, if you don't want people, putting up signs saying that they should defund you guys and everything along those lines, you should be, and then you have them thrown out of the ballpark. It's like, listen, people are preaching the freaking truth. And a sign that says sell the team, I mean, good Lord, what's next? The trash bags? People are going to start wearing the trash bags, and then you're going to throw them out because they're wearing trash bags? I mean, It's true. I mean, the thing is that we found out this past year that Joe Pohlad was just a puppet for them. I mean, he couldn't even explain why they cut $30 million from the payroll. They couldn't explain it. They were just like, well, we had to make a very tough business decision. You didn't have to. You guys this team was coming off a great season, finally winning a playoff series in the postseason. And you decide to say, no, we're just going to cut payroll because that makes sense. It made no sense. So they have no comeback to that. And I just think that they're like, oh, well, we're going to sell the highest bidder. And, I just think the price tag for them is too high. Maybe we have reports coming out that's the case. I don't know. But I am warning the Hall of Shame inductees that were just in this past year in our 2024 Hall of Shame, I am telling them, listen, you have no choice at this point. You sell this team. And if you decide not to, you're going to have more fans coming in with those signs. They're not going to give a crap. You're going to have more people upset. And guess what? Attendance? Down the crapper. I mean, legitimately. We saw what happened when they had their collapse, too. I mean, it was awful. People don't even know. Like, I talked to people that have been Twins fans all their lives, Voldy. And they don't even know who half the players are. Because there's these minor leaguers that are trying to make a name for themselves. I mean, all due respect, Royce Lewis is hurt. Buxton's hurt. Correa's hurt. All these pitchers. Pablo Lopez is hurt or whatever. I mean, it's just sad. It's sad. And they don't want to do anything about it. So, anyway, sell the team, Pohlads. Get it done. Or else. The Twins fans, the players, probably even some of the coaches. And yes, I know, I'm still out on the Baldelli thing. I still think that he's not the right guy for this job.
No.
But that's, that's another.
It's literally World Series or bust for Baldelli.
Yes, absolutely.
Even then, is it worth bringing him back? Even if he wins a World Series. Probably. But still.
The proof's in the pudding as well, too. He takes guys out when they're hot. And he's made boneheaded decisions. And teammates and players have, gone back on him, have said, no, that's not the case. And then there was I think we talked about this. I don't know if I'm right or not on this, but I think we mentioned he was on with Dan Barrero on KFAN. And, Baldelli was saying, oh, yeah, the players just love the Pohlads. We're so grateful. I wouldn't be here if the Pohlads.
Shut up.
Look, stop kissing their ass. It's fine. We
the
we
checks
get it.
have already cleared Baldelli. It's fine.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, dude, you're trying to say that these guys are the best owners in baseball. They are literally the worst in baseball. Trust me. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully I don't have to talk about this again and not be able to attend a Twins game because I want to. I want to go to a Twins game. I want to support the team. I'll watch it from home. But listen, I am not going to be going to a game if the Pohlads say, no, we're not going to sell. Then, screw you. The birds are going to be out next time too, for for instance as well. So, let's move on to ARA. Let's do some a little bit more lighthearted stuff. The Four Nations face-off success? Question mark. I mean, I got an opinion on that, and so does Voldy. We'll talk about that. The Bengals are trying to keep all their three guys with Teehiggins, Jamarrchase, Treyhendrickson, and the tushpush. Should it be banned? The Packers think it should as well, so we will talk about that. And then Mike Trout heading to right field instead of center. We'll see if he'll stay healthy in that position over in right field. Now, you have sheduersanders not going to work out at the combine. There's been some controversial takes to that, but not too many. But we'll talk about that as well. So let's get it going with some absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, we start in the world of professional hockey, and most people would probably think, oh, you're talking NHL. Well, not exactly. The NHL taking a 2-week break from its regular season for presenting of the best on best for their home countries in the middle of the season. That is the Four Nations face-off, which we have talked about previously about how it can all divulge. But the numbers are in, and it was nothing short of fantastic. The Four Nations face-off culminating this past Thursday with a overtime victory for Canada over the United States in Boston. Of course, with all the hopes and dreams for the U.S. to take down Canada in a championship round of international play. Came up on the short end, but it was simply fantastic how everything really panned out, and the critics worldwide and especially in the media saying that it was certainly something that the NHL has found the recipe for their all-star game, if you will, festivities, middle of the season, just to make it just a little bit better compared to their contemporaries of the Big Four with the NBA, Major League Baseball, as well as the NFL on top of it. Now, with the Four Nations face-off, of course, culminating with that 3-2 overtime win for Canada over the U.S. of A. DJ Matty C, is it absurd or approved the Four Nations should replace the All-Star game for years to come?
Ooh, the All-Star game. Well, I gotta say, for one, the Four Nations face-off, claps out to you. I personally think it should. It was entertaining. It was fun. People followed it to a T. And these guys actually cared. Wow, I think the NBA could take note of that as well. This was awesome. And the excitement that it was watching the U.S. and Canada, take on each. I mean, it's been, what was it, 2014 Olympics, Voldy, if I'm not mistaken, when
Correct.
USA and Canada, officially. And watching them play again, obviously the first game was great because the USA won, but, fell short against Canada, which, we don't want to talk about that. It was a great game. And that's the great thing about this. It was an awesome game. I mean, both teams were playing their asses off, and, Canada just, got it done. And, USA was in it the whole way and whatnot. I think it's pretty much got my stamp of approval. I think this is going to be, I think this is a thing. And you got to keep doing something that works. And Bill Guerin obviously did a great job at putting together the team. Coach Hines, their chief, was also on the squad as well, which was awesome to see him there. And I think it should. It's got my stamp of approval, Voldy. I think this should be a thing. Should take over the All-Star game. Just saying. So, Voldy, what do you got?
I think it certainly does provide a new level of excitement when it comes to international play, and at least something different than what we've seen with the All-Star game, which has just become a little bit more watered down as the years come by. And unfortunately, the All-Star game will be returning, and it looks like it will be coming up after the Olympics that will be in 2026 in Italy, that the Winter Olympics will be taking place. So it looks like 2027, I believe it will be, with the NHL All-Star game. But then after that, the NHL and, of course, the Players Association did announce that the World Cup of Hockey will actually be making a return in 2028. So it'll be every 2 years in between Olympics, World Cup, Olympics, World Cup, all the way through the 2030 and 2030 Winter Olympics, 2032 World Cup on top of that. So at least there'll be that, but with the time in between, there will most likely be more All-Star games. I'm all for it. I would love to see more best on best international hockey as well. I know with the World Cup, when they had it back in 2016, as opposed to, of course, Canada, US, and all the other nations, they actually had Team North America, which had all the best young players. I think it was like 24 and under or something like that. And those guys that were playing in 2016, now they're the tent poles for Team USA, Team Canada, with those stud players that they have on their squad. So I'm all for more four nations face-off. I've seen some pushback by a lot of people saying that this was just kind of a cheesy one-off and doesn't really mean much of anything. Well, I like to call those people, for lack of a better term, and with young ears leaning in as well, those guys are idiots because they don't know anything on top of what was sincerely awesome. And that was watching Team USA, Team Canada going after it in Boston. I mean, I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of a showing with Sweden and Finland, but those guys, Finland was really banged up. Sweden could have made a serious go at it if they were maybe just a titch younger, I felt like, or maybe at least a little bit more seasoning for some of those young guys and maybe some potential guys that were missing because of injury. But I feel like it'll be a different go around once the Olympics comes rolling in, because obviously they'll get the guys that play internationally as well. And hopefully we get to see Russia in the mix come Olympics time. If they got to go under Olympic athletes of Russia, if they got to be refugee or something like that. But I would definitely, it would be it'd be unfortunate if the announcement from the IOC saying that Russia can't compete in the Winter Olympics coming up, that would be, quite unfortunate on top of it. So otherwise, it's got my stamp of approval. I think the Four Nations stays and the All-Star game needs to go.
It's fine with me. I very much enjoyed it, and and it was nice to kind of see that matchup again. And for those people, like you said, for those people, like, you don't know how intense. Why they gotta ruin fun? Yeah, I know.
It's funny because a couple clips I saw, they were Philadelphia Flyer podcasters or whatever. It's like, of course, Philly could. Yeah, Philly could, make a ham sandwich and say, "This is a disgrace. This is ridiculous. What is this? This is crap." Like, come on, guys. Stop it. Stop being it. Not fun.
As Mike Ditka would say, stop it. Stop it. So, yeah, I love it, man. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully, we see it more in the future. Mm-hmm. So, all right, NFL, Voldy.
Yes, in the world of the NFL, one of the bigger things to keep an eye on with this offseason, what will the Cincinnati Bengals do after being this close to making the playoffs after an 0-3 start to the season, with the comeback player of the year, Triple Crown winning wide receiver that they had in, of course, Jamarrchase, and Joe Burrow being named the de facto comeback player of the year, even though that's fraud to begin with, because it should have been Sam Darnold. Neither here nor there on top of it. The Bengals do have quite a few things in front of them when quite possibly bringing back a big 3 members of their team, 2 on offense, 1 on defense. Of course, we're talking about wide receivers Teehiggins and Jamarrchase, along with defensive end Treyhendrickson for quite possibly long-term and big money deals. Of course, reports have come out with the increase in the salary cap for the NFL, as well as an increase for the Cincinnati Bengals on top of it. See if that does play out, of course, with the offseason set to get underway here very, very soon. Of course, they are talks that if a long-term deal doesn't get signed for Teehiggins, that playing under the franchise tag would pay him $21.8 million, or at least that was this past season. But it looks like it could be $26.17 million for the 2025 season. But with Teehiggins, could possibly see more money. Of course, Jamarrchase is the big piece on top of that, with a veteran and experienced player in Treyhendrickson that has been nothing but a must-need on the defensive side. But of those three players that the Bengals are looking to bring back in, is it absurd or approved? Will the Bengals be able to keep all three guys for 2025 and the future?
It's a great question. And yes, I did a hat change, if anybody noticed.
Nice.
But this is super tough. And I say that just because you have two wide receivers that made it clear, pay me or this will happen, a lockout, or trade me, or this or that, this and that. And then you have Hendrickson, who was coming off a really good season, to say the least. I mean, he was their whole defense, I feel like. I mean, the rest of them were just, I mean, their defense was bad, but he was the shining light that they definitely needed. And having back-to-back years of 17-plus sacks is very good. So, I think they're going to trade Higgins. It seems to me that T. Higgins and the Bengals are not on the same page. It's been kind of known that they're kind of wishy-washy with this whole thing about whether to pay him, not pay him. I think they want to keep Jamarrchase for sure. I think if you let him go, and I think Burrow would not be happy, and then you have a lot of issues on your hands. So this is what I'd say. I think they could possibly. I think they're going to sign Chase. I think it's kind of a 50-50 with Hendrickson right now, just because he's going to be asking a lot too. So, with Burrow saying, like, I want to keep the core and everything like that, maybe they find a way. But I'll say this. I think they get 2 out of the 3. In what order? I think the more than likely it's going to be T. Higgins. T. Higgins has been linked to your New England Patriots P.O.D as well, so that is a possibility to add some. Yeah, and I think he's the most likely. Right under him, I'd probably say Hendrickson, just because it's tough with pass rushers. They command a lot of the market too. Look at what Daniil's getting paid, right? Look at what Grenard's getting paid now, Van Ginkel, all these pass rushers nowadays.
Right.
And I think some team could easily kind of come in and say, we're willing to take that on. You have Myles Garrett out there on the market as well. So, but I could see them, being able to keep him. I just think they can't keep all 3. Jamarrchase, I think, is a no-brainer. I think if you let him go, that's a big mistake if you let him go.
Yeah.
And he'll make you pay for it too. So, I'm going to say 2 out of 3. So I think it's absurd. I don't think that they can get all 3. If they do, I'd be very impressed, to say the least. But I think they'll get 2 out of 3 at least. They'll probably get 1 for sure. For sure they'll get at least 1 of them. So there's some hope. Voldy, what do you think?
I look at the situation of the 3 guys. Who do you need the most? It's Jamarrchase. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, it's unfortunate, at least for the Bengals in this situation. They could have signed him to an extension last year. Of course, before and or after Justin Jefferson's contract, Well, now after coming a Triple Crown season, that number has gone up. It's gone way up for Jamarrchase, and he is holding all the cards in that regard when it comes to a contract extension in that area. Now, unfortunately, with the Bengals and their ownership with Mike Brown, the son of the late founder of the Bengals and Paul Brown, they're not a team that goes out overly heavy when it comes to spending, and they're going to definitely keep that. They are probably the NFL's version of the pohlads, if you want to put that in the same realm. Speak ill of that. But I feel of the three guys, Jamarrchase is obviously the top need right there. Then you throw in Teehiggins. Higgins is definitely a solid number 2 receiver on that squad. He could very well be a number 1 on any other team. And of course, the reports and conversations, maybe the New England Patriots, they have been in need of a top end receiver. I've heard, passing conversations, maybe A.J. Brown from the Eagles, of course, with the connection of his former coach, Mike Vrabel, back in New England. So that could be something worth of note. But the Patriots do need a wide receiver. So could it be that? Or do the Bengals just stick them with the franchise, play it out 1 year, we'll get you paid after the season, go ahead and ball out young blood? Then you come to Treyhendrickson. Hendrickson's been in the league for quite some time. Of course, his time with Cincinnati and, of course, with the New Orleans Saints on top of it. I see him being the guy that's going to sit down and say, look, at least from the ownership perspective, and saying, look, we need you. I know you want to be here. We got to take a discount somewhere. We got to get you the hometown discount here. Are you willing to work with us? Are there teams out there that are more than willing to pay Hendrickson to be a bolster on their defensive line? Absolutely. But this window that Cincinnati has to quite possibly win a championship, very much what Buffalo was looking like a season or two ago. It just continues to close and close. If Cincinnati doesn't get it within the next 2-3 years of making a championship run, sadly, I don't think it's going to happen in Cincinnati. And with Hendrickson, he's on the back end of not only his championship possibilities, but possibly his career on top of it. I could see a situation where they get all three, but of the ones that's most dispensable, unfortunately, it's Hendrickson, because I feel like that defense definitely could use a little bit of youth and a little bit of jump out there, especially with the possibility of a defensive line heavy draft coming up on top of it, with some of the top guys that are getting a lot of love at least with a couple of picks there. But I would definitely not say that keeping all three is not impossible, but Chase and Higgins are definitely the two there you need to lock up for sure.
Well, since we're talking about all this with free agency and potential stuff, it's coming up. Free agency frenzy, Voldy. I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. I know this combine just started today, right? Is it today?
Yes.
Or they arrived
the
today?
Specialists. Yes.
Specialists. Gotcha. Okay. So
kickers, punters, long snappers.
The whole deal. Pat McAfee, all that stuff.
Wet.
So apparently,
apparently Kesich from Minnesota, he had a pretty good day today. So
let's go. Yeah. Dragon. Yes. So we'll see what happens with the combine and everything. But this is the start of, and again, the NFL's like, you shouldn't be talking with each other. No, they're talking. I bet you any money, the Minnesota Vikings, tampering is happening for sure. The Vikings are probably talking to Darnold's people, just saying, and potentially other situations. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, staying in the world of the NFL, of course, with the start of the NFL Draft Combine, well, there's also been proposed rules that an NFL team submitted a rule proposal to ban the tushpush quarterback sneak. Of course, that team has been identified. That was of all teams, the Green Bay Packers, as general manager of the team, did confirm that the team did make the proposal. And we've seen the great success that the tushpush has had in the last couple of years, and the possibility of it being, we'll say, barred from actual play, from the play that has made the Philadelphia Eagles quite successful in many, many ways, of course, leading to their most recent championship in the Super Bowl. Now, with all things considered, and of course, the Packers the one to make the push for the supposed ban, is it absurd or approved? Should the tush push be banned from the NFL?
Ooh, that is a great question. A very stacked question with that. There's a lot of opinions on this specific topic for sure. And that topic being what happens. Well, the Eagles are just really good at it and everything like that, but the Bills kind of do their own version of it as well. When you have that big of quarterbacks too, and Jalen Hurts is a strong dude, let's be honest.
Yep.
And he can, the thing is he can move some guys. He was squatting 500 pounds or something like that. Dude,
600 plus.
600 plus. Yeah, that's insane.
Dog.
Dog. And, the one team that complained, and they admitted it, was the Green Bay Packers.
Shocking.
Shocker, and it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh, we can't stop it and everything like that. Look, there's teams that are able to do it right, and the Eagles seem to be that team. Now, here, playing devil's advocate here, the question is, what about injuries? I think Chris Jones got injured on that play specifically when he is actually trying to go sideways, and it didn't really work out well. I just think that if you can't stop it, then maybe defenses need to find ways to properly stop it. They've been stopped before. I've seen it. We've all seen it before. They've been stopped on fourth down with the tush push as well. And I know that what was the stat? It's 87% chance of success or something like that. I thought I read. Yeah, there it is. Or achieved a first down. While the rest of the NFL, if they did that play, is about 71%. So if it's working for these other teams too, but not as well, and if you can't do it consistently, then that's a problem, right? But I will say that I feel like if they went up against their own defensive line, I think that they could stop Jalen Carter. You got Jordan Davis in the middle and everything like that. I just think maybe you need more beef up front to stop it. That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't necessarily have I don't have a big opinion on it. I like take it or leave it. I really don't care, but I think they do it well, and they haven't gotten it before, so there's always something to that. Now, which begs the question: should they ban it? No, I just think it's absurd because I feel like there has to be a way that you can stop it. Defensive coordinators are smart enough to figure that out. Is it a football play? I think that's up for a bigger debate. So, yeah, I think it's absurd. Right. I don't think they should ban it. I just think teams and defensive coordinators should be maybe creative on how to stop it. Just saying.
Exactly.
Foley, what do you think?
That's the thing that always comes to mind is that nobody has found a truly effective way to stop the tush push other than just loading the box and just hoping for the best and literally doing 50-50 to see if it works out for your defense. And I've heard in a conversation that I've had with Matt Fowler about an effective way to try to stop the tush push, one guy really came up with kind of an idea that's a little bit out of the box, but could quite possibly be effective. Is basically you just let the Eagles, they line up for the tush push, and they're all gearing down and try to low man wins. Defensive line, you line up like you're going to try and stop it. You just let the Eagles fall forward basically, and then just try to touch down the quarterback as fast as possible. If it's 4th and 2 or something like that, you just let the line fall and everybody just kind of topples over themselves and try to get the ball from that point. That's probably the way that it goes, but if we've seen anything when it comes to changes in NFL offense and the growth of that, it really takes about 2, maybe 3 seasons for defenses across the league to adjust to a new style. Of course, we've seen it with the RPO. We saw it with the Wildcat years ago, the pistol set offense, the air raid on top of it. It takes about 2 to 3 seasons for NFL defenses, or just defense in general, to find a way to stop said runs on top and plays certain offensive styles. So it could very well be this upcoming season that we see defenses really key in and find an effective way to stop the tush push. But banning it all together, I don't see how you do that, because then what really changes and constitutes a tush push compared to a quarterback sneak? What really, do you just ban the quarterback sneak altogether? I'm not sure. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do. They say is bad for the game, but what do you say is the tush push and what just isn't a quarterback sneak? But I don't think they should ban the play altogether, because then again you start getting really nitpicky about, well, then you can't do late slides, you can't do crossing routes, pick plays, stuff like that. There's so many things you start getting into the weeds about, and the next thing you know, it's going to turn into flag football.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, and there was another instance, and I saw this on the socials media. Tom Pelissero, who does a great job, by the way.
Tommy
P is a great guy. Apparently, the NFL was talking about specific plays that they should look at, and possibly, have New York say, hey, you got to, throw the flag on this one. Apparently, they don't want to do that. Troy Vincent was talking about, I'm paraphrasing because I just think it's absurd. So basically what they were saying is, if a play like the Sam Darnold thing happened, the New York wouldn't be able to, New York can't tell them you got to throw the flag, because apparently it's like, oh, you missed it. And it's like, oh, okay, well, we can't change it now. Stupid. That play, they should have gotten flagged 1,000%. Doesn't matter. I don't care what anyone else says about that. But with that being said, the tush push, I agree with you. I think I don't think it should be banned. I think there's a way to stop it. The question is, I think, who knows? It could be B-Flow. We'll see.
Who knows?
So, all right. Next one, Volde.
Well, with the start of spring training in the last couple of weeks post-Super Bowl action, one move with the return of a perennial star in Major League Baseball is going over all right for the most part. The Los Angeles Angels now right fielder Mike Trout did come into spring training this past week and announced that the team and him are going to be working out in right field. Of course, Mike Trout, no stranger to the right corner in the outfield, as when he came up in the major leagues, he started in right field at the time that was patrolled by Torrey Hunter while with the Angels. Now, of course, going into his first 14 seasons as a dynamic center fielder, he's never won a Gold Glove, but has continued to be a consistent factor. Unfortunately, injuries have started to stack up for Mike Trout, especially playing in center field with the amount of wear and tear that he has had since coming up all those years ago. Of course, with injuries, they have limited to a possible, out of 648 possible games, Mike Trout has only played 266 over the last 4 seasons of Major League Baseball. Now, with everything thrown into the mix, with Mike Trout now moving to right field and possibly some days where he would get time at the designated hitter position, is it absurd or approved with him switching to right field? Will Mike Trout play? We'll set the over-under at 130.5 games this season.
I think Tate wants to answer that. Sorry, Tate. Didn't mean to call you Case.
Yeah, why are you talking now?
Hey,
Can we talk
he's
about how
his
he's gonna be one in like 2.5 weeks.
There's a smile. I love it, buddy. Yeah. We love it. Love it, Tate. Yeah, I mean, I think with Trout, Voldy, and Tate, obviously, I think this is going to help prolong, like, I wouldn't say it's like exactly like, or, I mean, it's almost kind of comparing something, apples to oranges, it's
Right.
kind of. But Joe Mauer, obviously, catcher, obviously had a lot of leg issues, crouching down all the time through a full baseball game is tough.
Well, it didn't help. He was also 6'4", playing a catcher.
True. Yeah,
Typically a position where you were a short and squatty guy in the past.
Right. So now you have, and now you have an instance where, Trout's playing center field, you crash into walls, you're making diving catches, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Whereas right field, I mean, yeah, there might be a little of that, but I feel like not as much, right? So he doesn't have to worry about, getting injured. And, obviously he struggled with some injuries throughout his career. But I think moving him to right's the smart play. It's for little, and what's crazy in itself? I feel like he's still kind of younger in some respects too. I don't know why I feel like that, but he's been with the Angels for a long time now, which is crazy.
14 years.
I can't believe that. I swear it feels like it was his rookie season.
He debuted in 2010. We were in high school, Matt.
I know. It's insane.
He's only a couple years older than us. Jeez.
I know.
He's 33, but he looks like he's 25.
I know.
Good for him.
I know.
Damn you, Mike Trout. I'm sure you're a great guy.
He's like doing the Benjamin Button or something like that.
Exactly.
14 years.
He's also an Eagles fan, so.
Yeah, you got that going for him. But, yeah, I think it's a smart move, Voldy. I personally think this is something that, you want to prolong his career. He's an Angels great. I mean, he's probably, he's Hall of Fame, worthy as well throughout his career. He's never won a Gold Glove, which is interesting in itself. But I think this is the smart and right move. The question is I feel like the Angels have been kind of in this limbo for a long time. They had Ohtani. Now he's gone. And they're just kind of just in the middle of things. They're not like winning, big, in the playoffs. They just missed the playoffs and everything like that. So, I mean, I say it's got my stamp of approval. It's the right thing to do at this point in his career, which is crazy in itself. He's only 33, like you said, so that's insane. Voldy, what do you think?
I just feel that this move should have probably came a lot sooner in the last few years, but of course, at the time when you had Shohei Ohtani first coming into the league, and he was playing a little bit of outfield, but more, when he started pitching, and then he was DH the days he wasn't pitching, that kind of hampered the Angels a little bit. They needed Trout in center field because a really platoon outfield they've had the last handful of years. They do have a couple of younger guys. They've had Joe Adell in the minors for a handful of years, who's been a top prospect for them. Mickey Moniak as well has been a very high top prospect, former high pick as well, waiting for their turn. But with him moving to right field, I mean, he started his career in right field with Torrey Hunter out in center. Then they kind of flip-flopped in the last couple of years before Torrey was able to make a return back to Minnesota. That was nice, all of that. But this could definitely, add a couple of years. I know that he'll probably get some more days at DH2, try to get him work back in, especially with now legs and, of course, with some back spasms and some knee problems that have happened for him the last couple of seasons. That will definitely take a lot more wear and tear off of him, and very well could find his way to a Gold Glove if he ends up playing more than 130 games. I could definitely see it be a lot more higher. I'd probably shoot for maybe the 140 mark or so, just because 162, there's going to be some off days, day game after a night game. Maybe give him at least defensively a day off and let some of the younger guys go. But I could definitely see Trout if he stays healthy. That's the thing. If he stays healthy and does not have to be, pushed to be, the main star for the Angels. Somebody else is going to have, a couple other guys are going to really have to help out, at least to make them more relevant in the AL West. But I could definitely see Trout play a lot more games this season. So it's got my stamp of approval.
And yeah, I mean, like you said, I think, games that, maybe like a Sunday game when it's just kind of like almost meaningless. Oh, and I say almost, but I just think he's done this long enough, and I think he deserves, just a little bit of, help and to prolong his career. So, best of luck to him, and at least he is not one Byron Buxton.
Dude, that was going to be a question I was going to throw out too. What about Byron Buxton? Should we put him in right field now? No Max Kepler anymore.
It's true. And I know Caitlin's very upset about that, by the way.
She'll live.
With the Phillies now, which is just kind of not
gross.
Great. But anyway, last one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the world, potentially NFL, of course, with the start of the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis this week. Of course, starting off with the specialists of kickers, punters, and long snappers. Well, a lot of eyes are being kept towards what will the quarterbacks do in the back half of the week into the weekend. Well, one quarterback that will not be making an appearance, or at least working out for teams at the Combine, Colorado Buffaloes quarterback Sheduersanders. Of course, there has been numerous talks, of course, with him and, of course, Cam Ward being the top two quarterbacks in the upcoming draft. Well, those two top players, of course, will actually not be working out at the Combine, but will most likely be around to at least answer questions and get the evaluations that way with, of course, NFL staff, and at least get a good gauge of where they are at. But there's still some conversations of whether or not medical evaluations will be taking place at the Combine for Sheduersanders. But it is expected that Sanders will throw at the Pro Day at Colorado, working out with his guys and working with his receivers to go through and show the progress that has been made since his last game in the bowl game and the training that has taken place leading up to April's NFL draft. Now, with all that being said, with Sanders not working out at the Combine, is it absurd or approved? Not working out at the Combine will hurt Sheduersanders' draft stock.
No, it won't. And the reason why is pretty simple, to be honest. I mean, it's something that Caleb Williams did when at the Combine. He didn't throw, but I think, did he do some of the other stuff, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't know. I don't watch the Combine like I used to. Maybe.
Yeah, like the Pro Days, it's almost like they're just going to do it at the Pro Days, so why don't they just have all the players do it at their Pro Days? I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I mean, I'm not going to watch the Combine. I mean, I'm sorry, no offense. I'll see maybe a highlight here on Facebook or Instagram Reels or something like that, but like, it's not that appealing to be like, oh, this guy got a 4. It's like if a guy's got like a 4.2, someone's gonna tweet about it. Like, You know what I mean? So this is kind of a situation where does he need to throw? He's kind of shown you what he has already. Especially he's gone through a lot of coordinators. I didn't know that. In his career, but the last coordinator he had, which was one of his strongest years, was in fact Pat Shurmur, right, Voldy?
Yes, sir.
So that is very good, especially when you have a great offensive mind like Pat Shurmur. But this is, it doesn't bother me, and it's no surprise that he's not throwing at the Combine. Does he need to? Not really. But again, people kind of know what he's got. The one thing that I feel like needs to be addressed, though, and I'm not saying this, and again, I got no beef with the Sanders or anything like that, maybe sitting down with him and just kind of getting where his head's at and, what he envisions of being around his teammates, being a leader, helping out guys and stuff like that. Because I don't know, some of the stuff I think I see him do, I almost feel like it's kind of shady. I don't know. He's very full of himself, I will say. I mean, he's Deion's son, obviously. But if I'm a team, it's like, is this going to be a big distraction? Is this just going to end up being a problem? That's just my inkling, I feel like. But he's very talented nonetheless. And, someone's going to, we'll see him at the pro day. He'll throw then, and people will be fine. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. So, stamp of approval, doesn't matter. He doesn't need to be there. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I get the logic in not working out at the combine. Of course, you don't get a lot of time familiarity with the guys that you're going to be throwing to, and you're going to be put through the ringer, of course, with the quote unquote ringer of the receivers running through the middle of the field, and you just throw the ball, and if they don't catch it, it looks bad on you, it looks bad on them. But me personally, if it was me, if I want to show that I can make the best out of any situation, the combine would be the place to do it. Oh, I just met this guy 20 minutes ago, so I can throw him a quick hitch out from the 20-yard line. Boom, I'll put it right on the numbers, and he'll go and make the catch. I would go out there and be like, I am here to make the best out of any situation you throw in front of me. I'll take any guy off the street. I'll take Joe Bag of Donuts who's serving popcorn up in the mezzanine area to the GMs or whatever, and I'll make him look like wide receiver number 1. That's what I would see on top of it. But I get the logic where they're coming from. Of course, you're going to want to talk to you're going to want to talk to front office people, talk to coaches as well, go through the motions there. He did that at the Senior Bowl too. But when it comes to it, it all comes down to the pro day and how they'll put together the script and how they'll work with the receivers that he's been throwing to the last 2 seasons, and how that is going to make him look as good as possible. But we've seen in the past how a great pro day has turned into not a very good pro career. Case in point was Zach Wilson. He had an excellent pro day, and going into the NFL didn't exactly work out all that great. Then again, it was with the Jets. That is a misnomer altogether within itself. But he doesn't really need to be there, but I would like to see just a little bit of effort put into it. Like, I know he's played a lot of football. He's had a lot of offensive coordinators. He's taken a lot of hits. He's taken a lot of flack from the media as well about, quitting on his team, not showing up in the big situations, taking a lot of sacks and taking a lot of incompletions instead of trying to fight for some things. But at the end of the day, the numbers are going to put out that he had a pretty good year with leading the nation in completion percentage, leading the Big 12 conference, which is notoriously a very run and gun conference. He led in passing yards, he led in completions, he led it in attempts, and yards per completion stuff, like all these ridiculous offensive numbers this past year in the Big 12 in his final season of college football. I could see how those numbers would definitely throw on top of it. But I've seen also some videos as well with Cam Ward and sheduersanders working in training down in Dallas. Cam Ward's looking a lot better than Shedeur in a few different areas, but I feel like at the end of the day, Shedeur will be doing the walking and the talking as opposed to Cam Ward, who will just be doing the walking in the area where it matters the most. But I don't think it's going to hurt his draft stock. I feel like he'll definitely be 1 or 2 when it comes to the quarterbacks taken in the first round this year.
No, I agree with kind of doing something at the combine. It's like you have the chance to talk with people. You have the chance to show some of your worth. Not saying like Williams, I think he might have done some workouts and stuff like that. But like not throwing, I mean, that's, whatever. But J.J. McCarthy threw, he's not complaining about, oh, well, this didn't work or that didn't work. He was great. And, there's just I agree. I feel like there's some benefits for yourself saying, like, I'm going to the combine, I'm going to showcase some things, and whether you like it or not, go from there. But, you granted, you still have the pro day and everything like that. So, I mean, the thing is, if your last name is Sanders, especially if you're Deion's son, you kind of do what you want. They just.
It only worked for Shiloh, though. Shiloh's had a little bit of a rough go. With training and in the Senior Bowl and all that. It hasn't exactly been great.
Right. Yeah. We'll see how that turns out. But the one, the one thing that's interesting, he's been linked to the Raiders, and Dion's been kind of like, kind of cryptic, saying like, oh, Raiders and whatnot. Let's not forget that just today we find out that Matthew Stafford and Tom Brady just met at a ski resort and happened to run into each other.
Wonderful.
Happened to. So I'm just saying, if the Raiders were going to be that team, maybe they won't be. I don't know. Maybe they draft them anyway. I don't know. We'll see. Anywho, great job with ARA this week, Voldy, and it looks like Tate gave us a lot of help with ARA. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic with Tate going along as well. He definitely had a lot to say with Mike Trout, so that was fun. Yes. I enjoyed that very much. Voldy, we got shield shout-outs to get to. We've got one that is GOAT territory. That is for sure. So let's get it going with some shield shout-outs.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield Tate, who you shouting out tonight?
Well, we do have to send a Shield shout-out. Best of luck to the WNBA's GOAT, Dianataurasi, as she announced her retirement after 20 seasons in the WNBA, where her career ends as the WNBA's all-time leading scorer, a 3-time WNBA champion with the Phoenix Mercury, and also the first ever person to be a 6-time Olympic gold medalist among her notable accomplishments in women's basketball, whether it be professional or at the Olympic level. Dianataurasi, at end of another era, of course, a couple years ago, it was Sue Bird, and now Dianataurasi hanging them up in the WNBA, of course, passing the torch, of course, that has taken place in recent years with, of course, Caitlin Clark, and you get Cameron Brink, you get Angel Reese in the mix there, too. The league is in good hands, but there will never be another Dianataurasi coming out of UConn on top of it as well, where she was very successful in her career with the Huskies. But that is going to do it for Shield Shoutouts this week.
Congratulations to Dianataurasi. Legend. I mean, not enough said. You said it perfectly, Voldy. Good luck in retirement. Who knows what she's got next cooking. So we shall see. All right, great job. Shield shout-outs as always, Voldy. And guys, I'm wearing this hat, and we got merch. We got plenty of merch, guys. We got so much merch. We got the stickers, we got the shirts, the pullovers, the quarter zips, we have it all. We've got the winter caps. If you're still feeling a little, chilly and whatnot, you could use a mug. I know that the mugs are starting to go a little bit. People are liking the mugs a lot, so make sure, or the tumblers, I should say. Excuse me. And we got plenty of stuff and coming down the pipe as well. I'm just going to do this one thing. That is the 5-year anniversary logo. That is still a little bit in development, but we're getting there. And we will keep you posted when that final version has dropped. You'll be checking out on the socials medias. So thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson, and make sure you check out our guy, Will Rattel, W2 Performance, www.w2performance.com. Make sure you check out everything Will Rattel's got going on. The Brotherly Ballers podcast, Tyler Hermann and Jack Vickers. They're in their off season now, but they'll be back. Trust me. Fantasy football, the whole deal. TLS Performance, our guy Troy Stoudemire Jr. doing his thing down in Texas. And we got the Popcorn Bucket List, Nick Dahlhoff, and our guy Ryne Myhrberg, Omni Entertainment. They have a new episode out now. Oscars is this weekend, so they have been busy making their predictions. So make sure you check out everything that they got going on with Popcorn Bucket List. So, with that being said, that's going to do it for episode 228. We are back in full force. Voldy, NFL free agency is on its way. Franchise tags, trades, things like that. Sam Darnold, where's he going? Is he staying here? Is he going somewhere else? We going out and getting some O-line, defensive tackle, stuff like that. Looks like Case might have a case for being a defensive tackle. Don't hurt your dad. Come on now, Tate. Now he's laughing. We love it. So with that being said, that is going to do it for episode 228. And as always, remember, Tate, Zoners, Voldy, keeping the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.